The biggest creators and entrepreneurs are hiding something from you. Mary Forleo, Ramit Sethi, Neil Patel, and other seven-figure entrepreneurs have been using this one secret since 2012 to build massive email lists. I've spent over 500 hours analyzing over 120 of these secrets called lead magnets, and what I discovered completely changed the way that I thought about building a newsletter today. In this video, I'll show you exactly what a lead magnet is, why it still works, and how it has evolved in 2025. Now, what is a lead magnet? A lead magnet is a deliberate pairing of a target audience's immediate problem with a fast solution that they can solve by giving you their contact information. So essentially, it's something valuable that you give away for free in exchange for the target audience contact information, which is usually their emails. Now, let's take a look at some examples that are working today by top creators. So the first example that I wanted to look at is Ramit Sethi. So Ramit Sethi is a financial guru, and his website is iwillteachyoutoberich.com. So in his website, his lead magnet, when you enter his homepage, is essentially a 6-step quiz. So you click the button, and all it does is it asks you a bunch of finance related questions that you can answer in order to achieve your dream financial plan. So once you finish answering it, you have to enter in your email and name. So this is his lead magnets. His promise is that once you give him your email address, he'll come up with a plan that will help you align your financial goals with the direction that you want. So here is an example of the report that he has. So it's essentially a landing pages. I've seen some creators also that send it directly to your email instead of creating a landing page. And over here, he just talks about your situation that you're currently in as well. If you look down, he gives recommendation on how to start living your dream financial life. So he recommends his book, and another one is one of his programs and courses. So you can do the same with your lead magnets here. Now let's take a look at the next example. This is Mary Forleo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. She has also a massive audience on YouTube, and one of her lead magnets, which I think is very, very interesting, is an audio training program or an audio course. Again, very similar to Ramit Sethi, where if you want to get it, you have to give in your email address and your name. If you give her your email and name, she'll show you how exactly to get anything that you want using her audio. So you enter in your email and name, and she'll direct you to a 1 hour long audio with no fancy videos, with no overlays. So notice how simple it is, how it's very easy to replicate, but it's valuable because she knows that her audience are the type of people who want to improve themselves, who are in the productivity game and want to achieve the kind of success that she does. Let's look at the next example. Another one is Neil Patel. Started off as an SEO specialist and grew into an agency. His background is essentially in SEO. What he did was he bought this tool called Uber Suggest and turned it into a lead magnet. So I think he bought it for around almost 100,000 US dollars. What this tool does, takes any website that you give in, and it gives you a quick report on the background of how strong it is in an SEO perspective and what you can do to improve on it. Anyone who comes in and puts in any domain or any keyword, for example, will get that detailed report. So here's an example where I put in iwillteachyoutoberich.com. So you'll see how many organic keywords it's ranking for, how many backlinks, which is essentially how many sites are linking to that domain. All of this for free. But the catch is, if you want a second try or more searches, you'll have to give in your email address and name. Are you catching the theme here? So the next one is Alex Catoni. Alex is a copywriter who has a really strong personal brand over on YouTube and Instagram. She teaches her audience how to write better, how to speak better, how to build a personal brand. One of her lead magnets is something that's very simple, which is just a checklist. So she teaches you what you need to do in order to stand out in terms of branding in an online atmosphere. If you give in your name and email, you'll get instant access to a checklist, which is essentially just 11 things that you need to do in order to stand out. The reason why this works is because she understands her audience are people who are trying to build their personal brand, trying to improve their writing. They want to know how they can stand out against a sea of other competitors out there. And you can see how powerful and how simple it is to be able to replicate the exact same thing. Now, these are just a few of the examples. There's a lot more different types of lead magnets that you can actually create. For example, email courses, lists, reports, video workshops, calendars, planners, and guides. You can create whatever you think is valuable enough that anyone who comes in that doesn't know you is willing to give you their contact information for it. Now, I studied over 120 plus lead magnets and compiled it all into a single swipe file that you can access to see what lead magnets are still working today, so you can also achieve the same results. This would save you hundreds of hours in research and help you create a high converting lead magnet, not in spend weeks, but hours. I've put the link in the description below. Now that you know what exactly a lead magnet is, let's study the psychological reason behind why it's so effective into turning strangers into subscribers. Now, in a book written by Robert Cialdini, Influence, he talks about this one core concept, which is people love free stuff and they love to give back when you do give free stuff. He calls it the principle of reciprocity. This principle states that people feel a strong psychological urge to return favors or repay acts of kindness. So when you go to a shopping mall, someone gives you a free sample, you're more than likely to want to buy the full item because of that free sample. So when someone gives something valuable to us, we psychologically feel indebted to them and we want to be able to reciprocate the same feeling back. So when we give them our lead magnet and it's able to help solve their immediate problem, they're willing to give us their contact information. The second reason why lead magnets still are effective today is because it builds relationship on trust. When you're building a relationship online, you often don't know the other person behind the screen. But when you're creating lead magnets, you're essentially starting off that relationship with giving value instead of asking for money or selling things to them. That gives them more room to be able to trust us. Neil Patel talks about this and he calls it the concept of trying to get married. If you meet someone for the first time and you really like them, you're not going to ask them to marry you. Instead, you would ask them for a date. If that goes well, you ask them for a second date, and that builds on until you're able to get to know them really well enough to marry them. It's the same concept here. So you give something valuable, something for free, and they start building that trust with you. You nurture that relationship and you continuously provide more and more value until that they trust you completely enough to buy the things that you want to sell them. Now, the last thing, why it's still so effective today, is that it solves a specific problem. If you take a look at examples that I've shown earlier, they're all solving a specific problem. They're not trying to solve too many problems, or as my coach Alejandro would always say, a kitchen sink of problems. They approach it one by one. If your lead magnet is not working today, chances are the problem is actually you're solving too many problems, or the problem isn't specific enough so that the target audience find it valuable. Now, understanding psychology is great, but does it still work in 2025? Our attention span has changed over the years, ever since TikTok and now with AI. Our brain has been bombarded so much with information that it's no longer useful to just provide information in your lead magnet. In fact, now with AI and the rise of TikToks, our lead magnets need to be able to solve the problem that we promised under 30 minutes. Let's take a look again at the examples. Notice how each one takes less than 15 minutes to be able to get the results from. That's why, for example, Ramit Sethi's lead magnet has changed from a book and a detailed report in 2012 to now a very, very short quiz with only 6 questions to be able to help his ideal customers. Don't believe me? Let's dissect these. Let's look at an example by Ramit Sethi in his website. If we look at his blog from 2012, we can actually see the lead magnet that he was offering back then and now completely differs in 2 different directions. If we take a closer look in 2012, he was giving away all these free PDFs and ebooks and guides, and then in 2013 and is also giving away a book. Notice how all of these were long-form lead magnets, and in 2025 he changed all that to a single quiz with just 6 questions. Long-form lead magnets are no longer as effective as it once was back in the day, and the reason is very simple. Back then there was a lack of information and people couldn't get access to things like how to grow your network, how to be rich, and things like that. But now in 2025 you can actually find all those information, access it very easily through AI, through ChatGPT, through Googling. People would actually prioritize in having shorter lead magnets because that means that they can get quick wins easier and it's easier for them to consume rather than long lead magnets that might take them a long time to be able to see those results that they really want. Now that you've seen how lead magnets have evolved over time, you might be questioning, is it still relevant to create these today? Now let's look at some statistics on whether or not lead magnets are still worth it in 2025. So here's a Google search trend for the past 12 months for the keyword lead magnets. What I want to show is that people are still looking for ways to create lead magnets, examples of lead magnets. And this trend shows us that it's actually not going down. It's been stable over the years. Why? Because email marketing is still as effective as ever and is the only platform in which that you and I and other creators actually have leverage over algorithms. Social media like Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube are all great, but at the end of the day, they're all just rented spaces. And if the algorithm changes, so does our ability to get more customers, to make more money. I want to show you some interesting example by vidIQ. vidIQ is a company that specializes in making softwares for YouTubers to grow on YouTube. They created this tool called the AI YouTube Video Title Generator. The way it works is very simple. You basically just input in what your video is about, describe it as much detail as you possibly can, and in return, it will give you a list of YouTube video titles that you can use to grow your YouTube channel. When you click generate, it will ask you to sign up to get the results. And here's some interesting things. If we look at, for example, the term AI title generator or even AI YouTube title generator, what we'll find is that vidIQ is actually placed on the first page of Google. And why is this interesting? Because it shows that one lead magnet actually has the power to continually grow your email list over time and is becoming a great asset for your business. If I use Uber Suggest to go over and look at how many people are actually searching for the term YouTube title generator, we can see in the US alone, it's 3,600 people. Since they're on the first page, there's actually quite a lot of people that are actually using that lead magnets. And if they're using that lead magnet, it means that they're getting more email subscribers. So these are one of the many examples in which creators, entrepreneurs, and even brands are leveraging lead magnets to grow their email list today. And if you want to learn how to create these lead magnets using AI, make sure to subscribe because that's what I'm covering in the next video.